could pair with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and have a chance to make into a really good quarterback.
Yeah, Matthew, and then you bring up Jefferson's name, and I think that's the other thing, and maybe we don't have any resolution on this anytime soon, but I would think that with all these contracts that are going to
been kind of a malcontent. That was a problem as well. That is not an issue whatsoever with Justin Jefferson. And, with the way that the league is set up with first-round draft picks, if he really wanted to fight this to the bitter end, he would have to have the fifth-year option and 2 franchise tags before he got his chance to hit free agency. And, who knows that is the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't think that they would trade him for anything short of Josh Allen. And if you want to trade Josh Allen for Justin Jefferson, I'm down for that. I'll take him. But aside from trading for like a great franchise quarterback or something, you're not going to find a more valuable non-quarterback in the entire NFL. And the Vikings know that, and they want him to be a Minnesota Viking for the next 10 years. And at the Combine, one of the things I learned from chatting with them is just how angry they were about the rumors that were being put out there, because they don't want anything to disrupt their negotiations with Justin Jefferson, because they believe this summer a deal is going to get done. But I just think it's sort of the nature of the beast that when someone is negotiating a deal, that everybody starts doing jersey swap things on social media, and everybody starts hunting for any possible rumor and sign that there could be a big trade or that the guy's mad or whatever else. But they negotiated last year and got fairly close to a deal already. And I think this year, they'll get it done. It's just that when you're talking about the biggest contract in the league at someone's position, there's always a lot of nuance to that. And last year with Nick Bosa, for example, it took until September 9th to get a deal done with him. And I think it'll probably be similar with the Vikings and Jefferson, where throughout the summer, that is a daily thing of like, what's the latest on Justin Jefferson's contract? But at the end of the day, they'll get it done.
Matthew, I'm guessing you still pay attention to what's going on in the NHL, and you're still kind of keeping tabs on what's happening with the Sabres. Before we let you go, if you have anything to share and any thoughts to share on the trade today that we got from the Sabres, where they sent in Casey Middlestat to Colorado for Bo Byram, any idea of who might have gotten the better of that deal, or is this even a swap as you could have gotten?
It does remind me a little bit of Zach Cassian for Cody Hodgson, where everybody thought they won the deal, but nobody won the deal. So hopefully it works out better for the Sabres there. One thing I guess I would say is I really thought, because he was a gopher, that Middlestat was going to be special, and he just didn't turn out to be special, which I guess, nature of the beast of the NHL draft. But I still think, regardless of how this season has gone, that there's been enough flashes from this team that they can be good soon. Like, I know I've probably said that to you guys over and over. Like, they've got the bones, they've got the draft picks. Building up the defense a little bit more, I think, is something they really, really need, as opposed to being so top heavy on the back six there. I think they're on their way, but I don't have like a super hot take on the trade. It's kind of like, if teams are getting rid of young players, there's a reason, and there's a reason both of these teams are moving on. And I would have some injury concerns about the guys that the Sabres got.
Yeah.
Matthew, let's do this again. We'll appreciate your time today, and appreciate you always checking in here in Rochester.
I am always down, fellas. Just remember, this isn't as bad as when Thurman Thomas became a Dolphin. That was
bad.
That was bad.
Yeah, what was the day? Wasn't there a day in 2000 where they had to release all the future Hall of Famers?
That was it, yeah. Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, and Bruce Smith all in one day. Yeah, bad.
Appreciate you, Matthew.
Not great. Not great for my upbringing.
Thanks, Matthew. Let's do this again.
Yeah, on a day, hopefully, where the Bills aren't... I mean, this is... all in one shot, Gino.
Yeah, and it kind of came out in dribs, and the Bills put out the official release.
Didn't include Trey White in the official release.
Correct. So the official release, if you're just getting in your car, get a load of this. Jordan Poyer, Saran Neal, Mitch Morse, Deontay Hardy, and as we expected, Naeem Hines.
All released.
And then Adam Schefter reporting Tre'Davious White is being released as well, according to Spot Track. Now, they still haven't accounted here for the Rasul Douglas restructure. That was also done today.
Yeah.
So without that Rasul Douglas, the numbers from that, right now the Bills still have $15 million to go, but what would that do for Rasul Douglas?
I've seen some estimations that the Bills have saved today an estimated $37.4 million with these moves.
Wow. Okay.
Just with these moves.
Dead cap for the Buffalo Bills this season, they're going to carry 23.6.
The Morse release was a surprising one. Somebody who was still playing at a pretty high level. And again, you had a pretty good offensive line last year. They started every game. I guess the word here would be that you'll see McGovern move into center, and the newly signed David Edwards on a 2-year contract will slide into left guard. And Aaron Kromer, I'm going to put faith in Aaron Kromer that he's a good offensive line coach. I mean, feels like he's an upgrade over what they had in Bobby Johnson all those years, right? So Aaron Kromer, leaning on one of his guys a little bit more here, and David Edwards, if you were accustomed to seeing him report as an eligible, you're going to be seeing him every down, provided he's healthy, as your left guard.
11 picks the Bills have in this draft, and I thought when Ryan Bates got dealt to Chicago, like, okay, this is Brandon Beane. He's getting ammo. He wants to move up again. Danger, there are jobs to be had, and you're going to have to fill them with guys in this draft. The fact right now, you don't know who your two safeties are. I'm assuming Micah Hyde isn't going to come back. He's a free agent at this point. You don't really have any depth on the offensive line. They just kind of went out the door today over the last 2 days. Who's going to be your 4 and 5 wide like now the back end of the wide receiver room? Like you say, Deontay Hardy. Okay, well then you got to replace that too.
Yeah, well, I think with wide receiver, if they make any moves in free agency, it'll be underwhelming. But we all, anticipate that they'll get an electric wide receiver at some point in the draft, and probably early in the draft. And Tasker is convinced that it'll be round 1 that they will use the first round pick on a wide receiver, and that will be totally fine. I think most of us would sign up for that. And as far as corner goes, with the restructure of Douglas, Benford being the surprise. I mean, Benford is really the guy that makes this all a little bit more palatable. You don't like seeing Trey White go out the way he's going out because injuries happen in the NFL, but that guy means so much to the organization, to this regime, to that locker room. But as far as the production is concerned, you got to steal out of Christian Benford, a guy that just stepped up that nobody really had any expectation for when he was drafted, slide into the role and really take command of Sean McDermott's defense. With the restructure of Douglas, you've got those two guys on the field, and Kaiir Elam can fight to try and get on the field, but at minimum is a depth piece at corner.
Yeah, and you have Dane Jackson as a free agent here too.
That's right.
The safety position, when we're kind of learning this in real time, I'm like, okay, and we didn't even get to this. I was like, this point I was going to make. Okay, Tre'Davious White has to be part of this team. Maybe they're going to think of him at safety. That would kind of make sense.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like they're unless it's the offensive line, they want guys who have positional flexibility, but it's rare that you see them move guys on the defensive side of the ball, at least, to a different position. Like, that would have surprised me to see a Trey White, or even like a guy like Cam Lewis, who's a free agent, primarily a nickel corner. If you were to see him move back to safety, that would surprise me. It would surprise me if they were to bring him back and put him in a position that he's not normally used to playing, when you can get younger and potentially better through free agency in the draft.
Jack writing in, pointing out there was another move today. Buffalo just jumped back into the playoff hunt by signing punter Matt Haack.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, that's way down.
1-year deal for Matt Haack.
Why do we have to announce that now? Like, the only reason I could think of is, does he slide into the top 51 and help you get cap compliant?
Okay.
Yeah, like you're paying so little, and then that'll bump somebody. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, that's possible. Whew. Let's take a breath, come back, And we'll have some more here in the sports bar. Not just Buffalo Bills news from around the NFL that we can get to, but certainly the Bills taking all the headlines here with some of these moves to get camp compliant. Brandon Beane has been busy today. We'll recap everything that we know after we take a quick break. And you're welcome to join us with your reaction at 866-4326. Listen, you might feel like today's a bit of a gut punch when you see some of these names. Mitch Morse, Jordan Poyer, Trey White. Do you see it as the end of an era? Do you see it as an opportunity for a new era of Buffalo Bills football? This is a memorable day here in the sports bar. We'd love to hear from you at 866-4FAN.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM.
Sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country and get the inside scoop from experts. AUDACY. Odyssey.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for Business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for their participation. Cards issued by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Joe's Brooklyn Pizza, with 4 locations in and around Rochester, is an authentic Brooklyn thin crust pizzeria. At Joe's, their pizzas are always bigger, and they offer 25 varieties daily in whole pies and slices. Stop in today or order online at joesbrooklynpizza.com.
William Attar, for the win. Insurance companies love car crash victims who take the first fast offer with no questions. At William Attar, we give our clients the strength to stand up to the big insurance companies. You only have one chance to win. After a crash, don't get pushed around. Demand what you deserve. Hurt in a car? Call William Attar, 444-4444. Main Street, Williamsville, West Main Street, Rochester.
Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now on FanDuel, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mike and shoot your shot. FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
If you've ever turned a wrench or worked on an engine, we've got a job you can handle. Hi, this is Peter Tunke, owner of BMH, and we're looking for mechanics and technicians. With the right experience, you could earn over $85,000 a year. We also have 5 medical plans, dental, life, 401k matches, guaranteed raises, and much, much more. There's a reason why we've won Best Places to Work for 10 years in a row. Go to bmhny.com and apply. That's bmhny.com.
You love sports, and so do we. Download the free Odyssey app to listen to games, podcasts, and radio stations like The Fan Rochester for free. Odyssey, for everything Bills, Sabres, and Amherst. Follow The Fan Rochester in the Odyssey app.
Got a smart speaker at home? Listen to the sports leader, The Fan Rochester at home, by asking it to play 95.7 The Fan.
All right, so Schefter is saying that the moves today will create approximately $25.96 million in cap space. The Trey White option opens up another 10.2, but only after June 1st.
No, that would still count, though. You can designate it June 1st, though. So, correct? That the old rules, you couldn't.
I guess for anybody that says the salary cap isn't real, today is a reminder that the salary cap very much is real, that you still have to comply, you still have to make moves, and the Bills have made a ton of them. While we have a quick second here, let's just quickly recap, and then we'll get to some of your reactions here as well. Happy hour is right around the corner here on the Sports Bar, although this one doesn't feel too happy. This feels a little bit... this is a bittersweet day for the Buffalo Bills.
It is. This is just all ripping the Band-Aid off here. Jordan Poyer release that saves a little more than $5 million. Jordan Poyer, 32 years old. Should point that out. Was entering the last year of his deal. It was a little bit backloaded. He was a candidate, but considering that the Bills needed bodies back there, just a little bit of a surprise. Saran Neal, $3 million in base. He was always a candidate to be released. A player that was here primarily for special teams. And Deontay Hardy, nearly $5 million by releasing the wide receiver / kick returner. The surprise here, the big one in my opinion, Mitch Morse. Center Mitch Morse playing at an all-pro level. In my opinion, he was a Pro Bowler in 2022. And yes, he had concussion issues when he first arrived in Buffalo, but last year anchoring one of the better offensive lines in the league, one of the few offensive lines in the league that started from left to right the whole entire year. So why would you want to touch that? Well, Mitch Morse released today because that saves $8.5 million against the cap. As you mentioned, those moves coupled with the Rasul Douglas restructure, and we think the Rasul Douglas restructure saves 2.5. That would save the Bills $24.3 million against the cap. We're not done, because then Tre'Davious White, after the Buffalo Bills put this out officially, word came through from all the NFL info guys that the Bills will release the corner. Now, whether it's post June 1st or how much money it saves, I think the interesting thing here, Danger, is that was Sean McDermott's first guy in Buffalo. Sean McDermott picking Tre'Davious White, and that's a void in leadership when in one day you're going to say goodbye to Jordan Poyer, goodbye to Tre'Davious White, goodbye to Mitch Morse, all in one day here.
Some captains, leaders in that locker room. Yeah, the Trey White injury, I think he knew it the moment it happened, that was probably it, right? When that Achilles popped in week 4, his reaction as he was getting carted off the field, you had a sense then like, oh, you felt horrible because you knew that this could have been one of the outcomes, knowing what we know about that deal that he signed after his rookie deal was up.
Right, and this is going to sound cruel, but it took him a while to come back from that ACL injury.
For sure.
And if the Buffalo Bills are wondering, okay, when are we going to get Tre'Davious White back from this injury? They're in the business of winning football games.
Von Miller, you better step it up, pal. This year, we better see something that resembles what you looked like when you were in Denver. No excuses, pal. If you're looking for somebody to point a finger at. We'll take some of your calls here, some of your reaction at 866-4326. Happy Hour is on the way next, and we'll get through all of these cap casualties for the Buffalo Bills. And we have a trade to announce as well from the Buffalo Sabres. We'll explain who's going and who's coming in for a team that's fledgling and probably missing the postseason yet again. Some help on the blue line for the Buffalo Sabres. We'll get to that, as well as a round of shots. All coming up with Happy Hour next on The Fan. Bet the NBA with the No Sweat Same Game Parlay from FanDuel. It's Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Do this every Thursday with TNT Thursdays, and it doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You're going to get bonus bets back if your Same Game Parlay doesn't win on any NBA on TNT game. NBA Same Game Parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance to score a bigger payday. However you want to play, head over to FanDuel.com FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, and bet the NBA with a no-sweat same-game parlay with TNT Thursdays. That's FanDuel.com/Mike. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Back this big road favorite in the Mountain West. I'm Aaron Hawksworth, here to help you beat the books with
The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Big time cuts today by the Buffalo Bills. A team today entering $40 million over the cap. Get a load of this. A team releasing today Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Saran Neal, Deontay Hardy, and then in the last hour also releasing Tre'Davious White. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Bills restructuring the contract of corner Rasul Douglas. The Bills did resign a soon-to-be free agent. That's guard David Edwards. Edwards gets $6 million over the next 2 years. Now, with the release of Mitch Morse today, Sal Capaccio is reporting that Connor McGovern now will slide to center. Edwards is your new starting left guard. The Buffalo Sabres have traded Casey Middlestad. He goes to Colorado for defenseman Bo Byram. Byram drafted number 4 overall in 2019. Sabres tonight playing in Toronto. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills have reached a 2-year, $6 million extension with David Edwards that includes $2.95 million in guaranteed money with $1.75 million in a signing bonus.
Mike Danger.
If you're able to sign David Edwards, you got to be feeling really good. He could potentially be a guy that you use as that depth piece, a versatile guy that can play pretty much anywhere you want.
Gene Battaglia.
Hey, your offensive line is set. You don't have any worries here. This time last year, who's the right guard? Who's the left guard? We didn't have Connor McGovern on the team.
Right.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We welcome you into Happy Hour. It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Appreciate you listening in at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app where we sound our best, and the video stream up and rolling for you today. You can check out our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, streaming on Twitch as well. Search out The Fan Rochester, like and subscribe there. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
This is the bold move. I mean, the safe move would be to run it back, and I think we'd all nod our heads and like, okay, maybe we just need another wide receiver. Maybe you just need this. Danger, what the Bills are doing today is not only to get cap compliant. If the Josh Allen deal comes through as we're expecting, the Bills can actually do some things here in free agency. Maybe there's some safeties that they're looking at. We need to do better in that category or something else in this team. I'm actually kind of stunned that Brandon Beane is going out there because let me tell you something. This is not popular today to release a Jordan Poyer. A popular move, release Mitch Morse?
Well, let me tell you why I like it, though. Because we've been saying that you're only going to go so far with what we have. And that includes the coach, that includes the quarterback, that includes the roster. It's the whole thing. It's Brandon Beane saying today is going to be transformational. And the moves we make moving forward are going to ensure that we can get beyond where we are. To hear Sean McDermott say it's not a matter of if, but when, I love that confidence. You want your coach to be that arrogant, that confident. And they have a confidence in them, knowing at safety, as an example, hey, we plucked 2 guys 7 years ago from the scrap heap that nobody wanted, and we turned them into the best tandem in the league. Do you think they can do it again? I do. Are you worried about corner with no Trey White? Hey, if things don't go well with Benford or with Douglas, maybe you can get something out of your first-round pick.
Am I worried about without corner, without Tre'Davious White? The answer is no. He played 6 games in the last 2 years. That's it.
The line, Mitch Morse. Look, it's a cruel business, and he was playing at a high level. But you look at the moves made here just in the last 24 hours. Brandon Beane is moving here. He's making things happen. You were set to pay Ryan Bates $8 million over 2 years. You moved on from him for a 5th-round pick. I think we all like that move. And we'll like that move even more come the end of April. You signed today David Edwards for 2 years, $6 million. You've got a little bit cheaper on the offensive line, and you're going to move McGovern over to center. McGovern, much like Benford, kind of like found savings, found value. Like you didn't know what you were going to get out of Benford when you drafted him. He's shocked everybody from the moment he set foot at St. John Fisher, and he's going to go into this season as your corner 1. McGovern, very kind of quietly, was fantastic last year for the Buffalo Bills at that left guard position, and now you slide him into center. in place of Morse, and you hope that there's not a drop-off. I don't think there will be.
I hear you, but like the Bills had a solid offensive line
For
that
sure.
was peaking last year. Why would you do that? And I just go back to this. It's a young man's game. Jordan Poyer's 32. Mitch Morse, 31. And Tre'Davious White, 29, again, coming off a second major injury where you don't know if he's ready to go. We got calls lined up. Please join us. 866-4326-8664-FAN. Feels like a football Monday here if we're hearing from Tim from San Diego.
Hey, there's our buddy. How are you, Tim?
A rare off-season call, I know, but today's news obviously warranted a call into a sports bar, and the fact that the Tally Ho advertises on the station, I'm very happy. I missed that place. Anyway, ACL and Achilles, and then try and get back to the level that he was before those injuries. So it's just like you said, the cool business side is rearing its ugly head today. As far as Jordan Poyer is concerned, I didn't think he had a great year last year. It was okay, but you could see a little bit of a decline. And, again, the cruel business of football, because he's been here for he's been with the Bills for 7 years and a very devoted player to the public, as far as making public appearances, just a great Bill. What's next? Who knows? I think, it's going to be very interesting to see what they try and poach in free agency if, the Allen deal does go through and he restructures his contract. It's going to be, again, a very interesting offseason for Buffalo.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for starting us off there, and all good points there. And again, just to kind of recap, Poyer gone, Mitch Morse gone, Saran Neal gone, Dante Hardy, Tre'Davious White, Rasul Douglas restructuring. Oh, but the Bills did sign Matt Hawk today. Tyler and Irondequoit. What's up, Tyler?
Doing good. How's it going?
Good. What's on your mind, buddy?
Obviously, I see what happened with the Bills. Obviously, I'm not as plugged in as you guys are, but something that I don't think I've heard anybody mention. Isn't this couldn't Trey White go to the NFLPA since he entered the season injured and file an injury grievance, or is that I know obviously David Bakhtiari is the situation that I'm kind of drawing a parallel to here. Is that off base, or is that?
I'm not familiar, and thanks for the call, Tyler. I'm not familiar with Bakhtiari's situation, but what I can tell you is that Tre'Davious White got paid all last year. He wasn't cut last year. He was on the roster the whole last year. So you're entering this year, the injury or not, he's healthy right now. So the answer is no. I don't think that you can go to the NFLPA with that. He's not being released because of injury. He's being released because he had a big cap number.
I just remembered something because I was talking about how Poyer and Hyde came in to the Bills from essentially being kind of left for dead. They were just left on the scrap heap of free agents. We talked to Poyer his first year in Buffalo. Do you remember that at training camp?
I remember it like yesterday.
I have the picture. Should I unleash the picture? Yeah. Because this was, if you want to get a sense for how long ago it was, 7 years doesn't seem like a lot, but you had hair in this picture. And Jordan Poyer looks younger in this picture. We were a different brand. We were an ESPN affiliate back when this picture was taken. God. What do you think of that? I got to share that with everybody, right?
I had hair. You had hair.
I'm wearing
a beard there in the middle of summer.
I'm wearing a ball cap, the same as I am today. I will share that because that feels like just harkens back to simpler times, a day when we were just getting to know Jordan Poyer and not really sure of what Jordan Poyer was going to be with this team. But man, that guy is a warrior, absolute gritty for his time in Buffalo. And I'd say the same thing for Mitch Morse. A guy that was a leader, a captain, playing really, really good football. Today's a tough day for anybody who wants to argue that the salary cap isn't real.
That's correct. But I look at this now, and they have holes to fill here in free agency. They do. You don't want to be getting to the draft. Hey, who are our two starting safeties? Hey, what are we doing here at third defensive end or our starting defensive tackle? I kind of take this that maybe who do they value more? Can you get a cheaper A.J. Epinez cap figure number this year as opposed to the 8.5 that you were due to pay Mitch Morse? I hope the Bills today, with all these moves, at the very least, are going to bring back a Daquan Jones, maybe an A.J. Epinesa. And it's the safety position that I think is a big concern right now. Who are the two starting safeties right now? No freaking clue. No idea. And the Sean McDermott defense is predicated on the two guys on the back end here. They're so valuable on the back end. Maybe that was kind of hindering the Bills last year. Maybe we can look at it through that lens, that the big plays from Poyer and Hyde that were here in the year. And yes, Jordan Poyer came up with a big one against the Chiefs, no doubt with that strip. But Micah Hyde, not so much. So can you find two guys right now? How good? It's not Sean McDermott. He's too busy. How good is the pro personnel department here in Buffalo? Because under Doug Whaley, danger. Yes, Doug Whaley. Doug Whaley was like, hey, you know what? That guy that Green Bay's not going to resign, let's bring in Micah Hyde. You know what? This guy's only started a couple games here. I think he could blossom in Jordan Poyer, who was with the Browns of all teams, released by the Eagles prior to that. So who are the two safeties? I sure as heck hope it's not the draft. I think that's too tough a position. It's too demanding in the Sean McDermott offense, in this Sean McDermott defense, to bring in a new guy and expect him to learn on the fly. This is a team that still is in win-now mode. And I don't want a safety in rounds 1 or 2. I want two veteran safeties on this team.
Yeah, well, that's the one area of concern that for me isn't as much of a concern. I feel like because McDermott has done it before, and because he has such an emphasis, put such an emphasis on that position, that he's not going to settle. He's going to find guys, whether it be through free agency or the draft, that will come in and contribute right away. And maybe it's one of the guys that's on their way out. I think there are still moves to be made in terms of trying to find replacements here with free agency as that opens up next week. But before we get that, for cap compliance, a full base salary and roster bonus conversion, though, for Josh Allen would open up enough cap space now for the Bills to be cap compliant by next week.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, wait a second, Josh Allen, he's over in Paris. How can he? They don't have to ask his permission. They can just do it. Like that's the new rule apparently. Like you just, okay, you know what? Your base salary, congrats, it's now a bonus. There you go.
Yeah, you could open up $22.7 million and be cap compliant by just converting. The roster bonus conversion and signing bonus for Josh Allen gets you into the black and ready to go for the new league year. Doesn't mean that there aren't more moves coming. There might be. It doesn't mean that there won't be more signings between now and the start of free agency next week, because I think there could be. I mean, David Edwards was one that we kind of picked as a chalky one. Like, hey, they should bring back David Edwards. That guy felt like he was important to the Bills offensively.
Never I think they'll like bring him back to be a starter.
Or bring him back as pseudo replacement for Mitch Morse with McGovern moving to center. Yeah, that was something that I don't think any of us saw. But we did talk about Morse as a potential cap casualty. And I think that's also a lesson to be learned here too, is that nothing is off the table. I mean, you have to really consider everything. And for as good of a player as he was, especially last year, that number was just too big, too bloated for them to be able to afford it. So Brandon Beane, I'm sure a day that he'd like to forget, because there's some really, really tough decisions. But I look at it through the lens of this kind of transformational day lends itself to nothing but opportunity in the future. And I really, really can't wait to see what they decide to do here at some of these positions of need, who they decide to bring in free agency. And you might actually have some space here to make some moves with names that are actually familiar to us, that maybe the signings aren't of the Deontay Hardy and Trent Sherfield variety. And we've got some guys that could actually come in and produce day one.
Yeah, somebody that is 24, 25. I go back to the age, and Matthew Collard joined us. Today was the wrong day. I realized that, but we had no idea that we were going to have all these cuts happening live on the show. But as Matthew was on with us, reacting to this, he's just bringing up the point. It's like, hey, this Bills team, they played a lot of playoff games. They play more football than a lot of teams in this league with the consistency. So for a 32-year-old Jordan Poyer, I'll ask you the question here, Danger. Can you see any of these guys coming back? Like, hey, we're out there, we were released, we're going to bring you back here on the cheap.
No,
I don't think so either.
No, I mean they've the reports are that they've decided what they're going to do with the offensive line with Morse being released, and Poyer. Look, I mean, I think Poyer's done. I hate to say it, but it was clear that he lost a step last year, and it was also clear that he wasn't going to get what he wanted from other teams as a free agent. He signed with Buffalo. He got one more good year of football under his belt and a nice paycheck to do so. But the only thing that's surprising about the Poyer move is that I thought maybe you keep a veteran around to help mentor whoever you bring in. But again, Sean McDermott probably has a lot of confidence in his ability to find a couple of safeties that he can plug into his defense and do the job that he got out of Poyer and Hyde at the same time where neither of those guys knew what their future was going to look like in the NFL as they were kind of being released by their teams as free agents.
Well, Antoine Winfield's off the market. A lot of other names here, Danger, but I don't know if any of them really pop out. Kyle Duggar went off the market too.
There's plenty of names that you'll see and you'll be like, I don't know. Who are these guys? I don't know.
Tayshaun Gibson from the Niners.
I mean, expect it to be two guys that you're like, I don't know. None of us knew Jordan Poyer. None of us knew who Jordan Poyer was when they signed him. They signed him because they thought he was a good football player. They thought that he maybe got a raw deal. He was battling with some injuries, and it worked out pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put faith in Beane and McDermott with the safety position, that they're going to get that figured out. I'm going to choose to believe that they can do with safety what they did with Poyer and Hyde again. And if they can get, 3/4 of the production that they got out of Poyer and Hyde, I think that would be a win. The offensive line is tricky. I like that they had continuity. I like that we started this afternoon with the David Edwards signing and thinking to ourselves, this is the first time that we can go into the season and not have any questions about the offensive line. That's a luxury for a lot of teams that don't have that. I mean, imagine being a Jets fan and you're excited because Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and then you have to look at that offensive line and be like, oh, God, he's not going to live. He's just going to die back there. Again, Aaron Kromer's pretty good coach, pretty good offensive line coach. And I don't know, I think this probably goes beyond him just saying, hey, David Edwards is my guy. He's starter quality. He is. He's started many games for the Rams with Aaron Kromer. So I'll put faith in Kromer as well, that he knows what he's doing with this offensive line. And sliding McGovern over to center in place of Morse is a move that will work for this Bills offensive line.
Well, it's surprising. If I had to rank the surprises today, number one on the list is still Mitch Morse, just because he's going to have a market danger. Like, that guy was still at the top of his game, peaking, and in December leading this team. Imagine you're Josh Allen. You're over in Paris right now with your girlfriend and
your torn pants.
Yeah. And the people, railing on him that he's not, doesn't know anything about chivalry. Come on.
Well, he probably doesn't know anything about chivalry. Let's be honest. He's a quarterback in the NFL.
No,
Does he need to be chivalrous?
You get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was it. I mean, when the pants burst, Brandon Beane had to do something. Look, if Josh Allen's pants are bursting, clearly we've got some cap issues here. We need to work.
Why are Josh Allen's pants bursting? What is he eating over there in France right now, Danger? Like, what high calorie diet is he on right now?
Haley Steinfeld is the diet. I just posted the picture, by the way. Simpler times. Brasky is dumbfounded. He didn't realize that you used to have hair. One of our regulars, Alex Brasky from the Batavian Daily News.
Yeah, that's
funny. I didn't prompt anything. I just said simpler times, man. It was a simpler time when we had Jordan Poyer on that first camp that he was here. We didn't know what he was going to become. We didn't know.
His photo with all these ESPN logos all over the place.
Yeah, that was simple too. It was just, we were ESPN Radio live from St. John Fisher University. Was that our first? It wasn't our first camp. That would have been year 2 of the sports bar, because year 1, I remember I missed most of training camp because I was overseas.
Yeah, I remember talking baseball with Jordan Poyer because he was actually drafted by the Marlins.
Oregon State, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's an overlook of the Bills' moves today. Lots of them to digest. And again, if you want to join us, 866-4326, if you want to share any thoughts. By the way.
The Sabres make this huge move. It's almost like Brandon B's like, wait a second, look at this.
Let me show you.
Let me show you. The Sabres just traded their leading scorer today.
Yeah.
We were just getting to this now. Casey Middlestat goes to Colorado. This for the 2019 number 4 overall pick, a defenseman who has concussion issues. Look, I view this as Casey Middlestat. Is he going to be one of these pieces moving down the road? And if you wanted to pay him, I know the problem with the Sabres this year. I'm fully aware, Danger. The problem is scoring goals. This season has sailed. Bye. Not happening. So can you actually build from the back end? That's why maybe if this defender from Colorado, who won a cup, by the way, was pretty good a couple of years ago. He's only 22, right?
Yeah, Bo Byram. I like the fact that they added a guy who's won a cup. I think that's good. We should inject some of that winner mentality into the franchise, into the organization. And I think there's still speculation as to what the future looks like for some of the veterans that might still be carrying some of that drought stench on them. Guys like Opozo and Gergensons who haven't sniffed the playoffs as Buffalo Sabres. Do they end up playing the rest of the season for a contender? Do the Sabres get anything of value if they move on from either of those guys? But for now, Middlestat goes to a team and adds some depth to their forward group. And the Sabres, as you mentioned, Gino, building from the back forward. You have plenty of forwards just marinating here in Rochester that are going to get their chance. If I don't like anything about this move, is it wasn't a move to get older or more veteran. It's a kid. It's another kid. He's a really good player, and hopefully he can stay healthy and not get dinged with any more concussions. But I feel like that's still another guy that you're going to look at and be like, well, can he grow into this role? How much more patience do we have to watch these boys become men? Because I tell you, when you watch a guy like Sam Reinhart, it's crazy to me to see what he's doing in Florida this year and the fact that he was just with Buffalo a couple seasons ago.
Time out in the hockey. It's almost like Brandon Beane has said enough.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Who's next?
Who's next? Now, this one you may laugh at. This is courtesy of Tim Graham. This hasn't happened yet. The Bills are in talks to reunite with this former player. He's due to be released, and he's free to sign now. Well, actually, the team just released this player. Any guesses?
Team just released this player?
Mm-hmm. Buffalo Bills in talks to bring this player back, a reunited. I'll say the position, you'll get it right away. Or I'll say, Mike Danger really didn't like this pick on draft night. He was so angry. I've got the video somewhere. The Buffalo Bills and former backup quarterback Mitchell Trubisky in talks to reunite, according to Tim Graham.
Sweet.
There you go. That lessens all the pain today, Bills fans.
That makes it. I feel so much better. Mitch Trubisky, my friend, he's back.
Not yet.
Well, he'll be back.
He'll be back.
Where else is he going? Come back to Buffalo, Minch.
Yeah, because, the Steelers, right? They got to Kenny Pickett's their guy.
Dude, let me tell you something.
I know you've been saying that.
Let me tell you something. Mitch Trubisky is an upgraded backup quarterback from Kyle Allen.
Yeah.
No doubt. Congratulations. If that's what happens, then you have upgraded at that position by bringing back Mitch Trubisky, my friend.
I just find it funny. Anytime today we start talking hockey. Nope.
Nope.
Come on back.
We're back. We're back. Look, if that happens, great. It's a great move. And, I think you are making all these moves. Josh Allen has no input. You can't keep his friend on the roster for another season because he's not somebody that we're comfortable putting out there should the worst case scenario happen.
No, he's not good, Kyle Allen.
And not that Trubisky is, but he's better. He's better than what you had with Kyle Allen. So I would view that as an upgrade if it actually does happen.
Here's the deal. If you lose Josh Allen for the season, you're screwed either way.
Yeah.
What you need is a quarterback that can kind of navigate maybe a 4-game stretch. And can Mitch Trubisky win 3 of those 4? Perhaps. Kyle Allen,
Yeah, we held our breath all last season, right? None of us wanted to see Kyle Allen at all, unless he was kneeling at the end of the game in victory formation. Whew, okay, this has been an afternoon in the sports bar. Don't tell me that it's early March and nothing is going on or that the salary cap isn't real. Holy. Let's come back with a round of shots. We need it.
Yeah, NBA, we'll get to. Syracuse basketball. They're probably looking on the outside in. Are they not here? Interesting note that Fox Television tried to pull off here. Can a network actually pay somebody for NIL just to make sure the games are on the air? This was an interesting move. And, I've never been late for the show, thankfully. Professional athlete was late for his game last night. That's not good.
Do I have a perfect? I don't have a perfect attendance record, do I?
No, there was a...
I got stuck in a throughway accident once.
Yeah, not your fault.
No, not my fault.
Not your fault. It was a work thing. You were in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
They said, be in Buffalo. Great. And you're driving back, and you have this hour and a half buffer. Then all of a sudden, you're not back in time. But what are you going to do? So,
yeah, I don't like that you have a perfect attendance record, and I'm off by one. Not that I want you to purposely miss. Just I wouldn't want anything to happen. I wouldn't want the worst case scenario happen. But I can't make it today because of this. But yeah,
Gene couldn't make it. He's dead. Dark humor.
All right, take a break. Come back with shots next. Your calls for last call as well at 866-4FAN 585-866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. On 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country and get the inside scoop from experts. AUDACY.
From the field to the court to the rink, the sports leader is there. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Okay, we'll go through all those Bills changes, cap ramifications, say our farewells to some very notable players on that roster here in a few. Let's get to a round of shots in the sports bar.
Yeah, let's rip through these. Jim Boeheim, you know how he said the ACC deserves 6 teams in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
You know why I said that? Because right now SU is 6 in the conference somehow. The Orange were never in it last night. They cut it to 5 in the second half. But then Joe Girard stuck a 3 against his former team. Clemson takes a season series 2-0. SU now waits their seeding for next week's ACC tournament. Syracuse at 20-11 overall, 11-9 in the conference.
I would say, though, even though that result last night was less than ideal for their chances of making the tournament, for his first season, I got to think you're pretty excited about Red Autry and what he's done. I think he's tried to establish a culture. I think his guys have. I mean, you want to see a little bit more effort last night. That was disappointing, but I think we would have taken 20 wins. When you consider that Boeheim didn't have 20 wins, how many years in a row here at the end of his tenure? He had some seasons where he got into the tournament without 20 wins. During the regular season. So a good run here this season for Red Autry in his first year.
Yeah, maybe. And, of course, they could win the ACC tournament. Unlikely, but that would be a pathway, of course. The Boston Celtics, if they want to win an NBA championship, they can't do what they did last night. They led by 22 with 9 minutes to go. 9 minutes to go.
9 times.
Then took the foot off the pedal. 1-point loss in Cleveland. The 17 points scored by Boston, that was the fewest they've scored in the fourth quarter of this season. Tonight, 8 games in the NBA. Anything you like here? Danger doubleheader on ESPN as the Clippers and Rockets. 7:30, followed by the Warriors and the Bucks.
What do I like tonight in the NBA? I do. I like. I think the Magic blow out the Wizards tonight. I like. You want an underdog or an upset? Give me the Blazers on the money line against the Thunder.
PJ Glasser, who joins us every Wednesday, he says, go with the player prop tonight after the Warriors were god-awful in Boston on Sunday. Look for Steph Curry to go over the 27 points.
And along those lines, I like the over at 227 between the Bucks and the Warriors as well.
Well, the Sabres, as we mentioned, dealing today. Casey Middlestat, with all this Bills news, it feels like an afterthought here. Who could be next year? Well, defenseman Eric Johnson leads the way for free agents next summer that will draw interest at the deadline. He won a cup with Colorado, but was not part of that deal today. Kyle Pozos and Mix Gergensons, Eric Robinson, Victor Olofsson, Eric Comrie, all due to be free agents. The deadline for the NHL coming up on Friday, the trade deadline. Sabres Leafs tonight. By the way, that is not an MSG tonight. That's a TNT game at 7.
Correct.
Sabres sports business reporter John Oran says that Fox was putting together an NIL package for Caitlin Clark so that she would stay a 5th year at Iowa. This is new ground, right? That offer never came to fruition, though. Of course, Clark declaring that she would enter the WNBA draft. Iowa, Ohio State, women's basketball, they drew double the number for the NBA game in that same time slot, being the Sixers and Mavs.
That's insane. I mean, it's actually genius that Fox was willing to pay her in an NIL deal to get her to stay so that they could get more out of their college basketball package.
Right. So if she's kind of weighing everything, can you imagine that?
Good for her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she made the right move, but it's interesting to note that the TV broadcaster was willing to chip into the NIL just to get her to stick around for another season.
What if you're drawing a 3-4 for women's basketball? That's like never did I think that they would get double the number of an NBA game. That's excellent for the sport. Finally, we've all been late to work as we were establishing Mike Danger. That was not your fault, though. But you hardly ever see that with a professional athlete. Anthony Edwards and Minnesota Timberwolves arrived late for his team's game. Strange to see the opening tip-off where he's racing over to the scorer's table, kneeling and having to wait for the first whistle. His excuse? I lost track of time.
Cut him. I would be so out of my mind. You're a star player. You're making millions to play a game. Be here on time. It's not a tough ask. What are we doing? The NBA, man, these guys get away with so much more.
I lost track of time.
There's a different level of accountability in other sports than there is in the NBA, man. I feel like these guys just do what they want, play when they want, and nobody can say anything because how dare you?
It's just strange to see somebody at the scores table just like standing, like, hey, why weren't you out there to begin with? Like, and at what point does the coach on the phone? Where is he? Where is he?
Right.
Like,
can you imagine? I mean, it's not like there's a lot of guys to keep track of on an NBA roster. You got to keep track of a handful of, like, if that happened in the NFL, it would be massive, massive news. If somebody wasn't there for pregame warmups, you'd have insiders crawling around going, what's going on? What happened? Why isn't Josh Allen here for warmups? Where is he? What's happening? That's just a different level of accountability with other sports. I don't understand that, man. How I lost track of time? Are you getting fined for? Is he getting fined for that?
I would think if I'm running the show, I'm suspending him.
My God, that's terrible. Maybe I had some money on him and he didn't perform up to a level of expectation either, but that's terrible. Cut him.
We got RIT head coach Wayne Wilson coming up as the Tigers are in the playoffs coming up. But before we get to that, just to kind of review the bloodletting today. My goodness. Mitch Morse probably being, in my opinion, the surprise here, saving $8.5 million against the cap. Other releases today: Jordan Poyer, Saran Neal, Deontay Hardy, and Tre'Davious White. As we've learned, the Tre'Davious White has the post-June 1st designation, so that cap savings you can't use, Danger, until June 1st, which
you'll need that.
Yeah,
you'll need that for your draft picks. You'll need that for free
emergency, whatever.
During the regular season, of course.
Yeah, and then Rasul Douglas restructuring his deal. So now your new corners on this team starting. Well, the two guys that were the starting corners last year, that being Rasul Douglas and, of course, Christian Benford. The safeties being the concern today, and also the depth on the offensive line. David Edwards now will go in at guard, in place at left guard, as moving on over will be Connor McGovern. He's your new starting center with the release of Mitch Morse today.
All right, I think we covered it all, and we appreciate you hanging with us this afternoon here in the Sports Bar. A busy afternoon. Want to make sure we get plenty of time to RIT men's hockey coach Wayne Wilson, playoff-bound Tigers. And we're getting a preview from Wayne next here in the Sports Bar.
You're listening to the Sports Wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call in the Sports Bar. Wanted to make sure we have plenty of time to talk to RIT men's hockey coach Wayne Wilson.
Yeah.
Playoff-bound Tigers,
Yeah,
Gino.
it is time. The Tigers got the first round bye. Wayne joining us here on the program Friday night, Saturday night. I don't even want to say if necessary. We'll tell you about that game, too. Wayne Wilson joining us. Coach, thanks. Appreciate the time. Before we talk about the matchup and where your team is at, I just a little hat tip to the RIT fans here. The last two games being sellouts at the Gene Policini. That's finally people are coming on out. Now, the students are off this week, I want to say. So any idea how filled up the arena is going to be this week?
Yeah, it's a good question. We go on break this Friday is our last day of classes before spring break. So hopefully some stick around, but I'm sure a lot are thinking maybe warmer weather, although the weather's been nice here. So, but last year we had great crowds. So, and the community seems to fill in when they know the students are gone. So we're hoping for that as well. So we're looking forward to a good crowd. Maybe not a sold-out crowd, but you never know.
Yeah, so Friday night being game one, Robert Morris, the opponent, you earned the bye. How did you spend the bye? Did you give him a little extra time off? Were you focusing on fundamentals? Tell me about last week here, Wayne.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So we gave him Monday and Wednesday off. We practiced Tuesday, Thursday, Friday with the weekend off. So we wanted to get healed up and have everyone ready to go. But we worked on a lot of different things that you don't typically work on: 6-on-5, 5-on-6s, 4-on-4s, some face-off plays, just things that maybe you don't cover as thoroughly as you'd like. And just worked on other parts of our own game. And then this week we got more into our opponent. Obviously we didn't know until after the weekend who our opponent was, and we worked on that as well. So it's been a good break for us, but we are very anxious to get going.
Yeah, and for folks who don't know, your opponent being Robert Morris, and they had a few years off. The program's back, but it's not like they're an expansion team here, Wayne. They have a lot of familiar names, guys, through the portal, and they got the win at Bentley, and they have a goaltender. So, I mean, an 11th seed, your thoughts here on facing this Colonial team?
Yeah, I did. I think that the strength of their team is actually both their goalies, but both of them have experience. Both are fifth-year players. One, Veltri, that we know very well, and we're anticipating on being the starter, but played for Niagara and has had some great games, and really was the reason why they also beat Bentley. And then a boy by the name of Boisvert that we're also familiar with from recruiting, but played for St. Lawrence. So it starts with their goaltending. They've got some familiar names up front that does some of the scoring, but then they have a lot of young players as well on their team. So for us, it's going to be just focusing on ourselves, getting off to a good start, getting momentum. It's best of three is a very quick series in regards to how series are played. So we want to get off to a good start.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how important is it not just Friday night, the game itself, but just that first 20 minutes Friday night, Wayne, to make sure everybody is coming out firing, but not too high where that you get over your skis there, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we've played them 4 times. We've won all 4, so we'd like to get some doubt in their minds right off the get-go. So, getting an early lead, trying to get the first game under our belt, and that's going to be important. But it's a second season. Everyone's got starts off 0-0. Although Robert Morris is coming in 1-0, I think it is important that any confidence that they gain from beating Bentley, we have to try and take away as early as possible. So we don't want to let this go on. We want to put our best foot forward and jump on them and get going right off the get-go.
Is that the biggest lesson from last year? Because, I mean, that's just kind of a bad taste in everybody's mouth, I'm sure, how you went out last year. And part of it was just letting it get to a third game, Coach.
Well, that the opponent does have something to say with it. Discipline was another thing. I think we've learned a lot of lessons during the course of the year. Our discipline was much better. The fact that we showed that we came back in a number of games in the second half also gives us confidence if we're down. And there's going to be adversity throughout the series, and we've got to be better prepared to handle it. I think we also played last year a little bit of winning the league and feeling maybe the pressure of that. I think because of last year's experience, we're feeling a little bit more, as I've said to some people, as the hunters. We're motivated to win. We're not afraid to lose, I guess. And so a little bit different mindset as we enter the series. And, we're hoping that we put our best foot forward right from the get-go.
How's the health of your team, Wayne?
Yeah, we're in great health right now, so that's also a positive. But I'm not particularly fond of having a break like we had. But when we haven't had any breaks the whole second half since Christmas, I think it was nice. We regrouped, and now we're ready to go.
Wayne Wilson, head coach of the RIT Tigers, the team taking on Robert Morris. Game 1 on Friday, Game 2 on Saturday at 7. And, if it's needed, Game 3 would be Sunday. Coach, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you Friday.
Thanks so much, and we're looking forward to it.
Wayne Wilson, RIT men's hockey coach, joining us here in the Sports Bar, the playoff-bound Tigers this weekend taking on Robert Morris. Wow, what an afternoon in the Sports Bar, Gino. And we'll continue the conversation tomorrow, as I'm sure we'll talk some Buffalo Bills. We'll also talk some Rochester Nighthawks lacrosse. GM Dan Carey stopping by the Sports Bar tomorrow afternoon at 4:25.
Yeah, we are the local sports show here, so we'll talk that. Yeah, a lot of Bills talk tomorrow. You can be sure on that.
And if you're just joining us, or if you missed any of the show, Odyssey Rewind, let you go back and listen to any part you may have missed. PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL Send It In, was fantastic. Gave us some winners for tonight's action in college basketball, also in the NBA. You can find that wherever you pod. Just search out the Sports Bar. Big thank you to everybody who stopped by the stream on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe when you're there, and you'll always know when we're going live. Like a comment every now and then as well at the Twitch channel at The Fan Rochester, as we stream on Twitch every afternoon here in the Sports Bar as well. All right, JR Sport Brief on the way next. Back again tomorrow afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM and AM 950, the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
Listening to the Sports Bar with Danger.